Well, that's what we got. 701.4. AFREC is tailing off a smidge towards rich at the top end. You see power drop a little bit, so I mean, I could probably put a little more work into leaning that out some more and level it off some. But, you know, with extra duty cycle, you kind of want to add some fuel at high duty cycles to keep temperatures down. I tried more boost. Power went down again. I tried less boost, and power came back up. So that's where it wants to be boost-wise. It's right at 40 pounds, and that's where it wants to go. If I go higher, if I increase the wastegate duty cycle goes up and power drops and boost stays almost the same. So that tells us that wastegate, back pressure's through the roof. Now, that being said, the 1700s are at 96% with a 48 PSI base fuel pressure. That's a lot of fucking power. And, you know, this doesn't necessarily go along with those numbers. If you compare this to other dynos and shit, right? So, like, I think that's still a conservative estimate of what it was doing. But regardless, it's still in a stock intake manifold. And that's what I think is impressive about this. So the stock intake manifold, it's got the small 3-inch ETS intercooler on it, and an 8.2 or 8-something housing on the turbo. So 40 pounds of boost and 8.2 housing is not usually a good combination. Typically, you like to have a larger AR turbine housing when you run that kind of boost. But the AR is such the 8-ish AR is such a good all-around size that this car maintains great boost when you drive it around, surprisingly enough for the 64, 66. And you can see, if I start the pull at $4,000, this thing has an insane amount of boost almost instantly at that level. So if I go here to pressure, so right here's here boost. So I've got 25 pounds by 4,500. I've got 35 pounds by 5,200. That's something right there. 35 pounds by 5,200. And I'm not asking a lot of it right here. I kept the duty cycle a little low, so this could technically be even higher if I wanted to, but I'm trying to keep the heads on the engine. That's definitely ideal. 40 pounds, 41 by 65, and then you see it dropping down to 37 and a half, 38 by 83. And I know that if we change the AR housing on the turbine, this would come lower and it would come a little higher for the same wastegate duty cycle. Power would go up some, but the lag would increase a lot. But we're still, like I said, stock intake manifold in a small intercooler, and the intake air temp sensors are only so fast at responding to the change in temperature. And as it is, they're saying 125. And I found that if it says 125 and it's still going up, it's probably actually 135 to 140 because they can only respond, like I said, so fast to a change in temperature. Only way you could do a sensor that responded fast enough to give you actual temperature at that point in time is usually like a laser style temperature sensor, which they do exist. Believe it or not, they do exist if you got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money. But overall, I think that this is pretty good. Obviously, Igor wants 800 plus wheel, but I think in order for us to do that, we just got to sacrifice something, and that's going to be low end spool with the housing and potentially with a larger intake manifold. I mean, that's still stock throttle body even. That's not even a large throttle body. So stock throttle body and intake manifold, I think it's just fucking maxed out. That's all there is to it. If we increase any of that, and you know, I think it's going to gain a bunch. And then there's always the whole, these are very lightly just cleaned up ported heads by hand by somebody. So by who? Out front?
Yeah, you know that,
oh, yeah.
It's spooled a lot later, smaller turbo on S1 cams. It's spooled at 500.
Oh, yeah. This spool's... So that's what Igor's saying is that his last setup was a 2.5 liter with a 5858 and GSC, are they GSC cams?
Yeah.
S1 cams?
Yeah.
And it's spooled significantly later than this 2.3 liter. Same head castings, nothing changed there. But my cam's a 2.3 liter and a 6466. So he's trying to say that that's testimony to the cam profile being really good and how well this setup still matches itself, how balanced the setup is. And, I agree with him. This is the extra boost holding strap there. That's super fancy. We did that on my car on the drag strip one time, but we used zip ties. So I'm pretty sure in the next iteration, if he wants to get a little more oomph out of it, then we will strap down the intercooler pipes with actual hard straps to the manifold, and potentially go with a different manifold or turbine housing or turbo or something.
We're putting turbo right there, and
We're doing a front mount. We're doing a front facing.
like a half radiator, Honda radiator.
So we'll do it like we do in Libby's car.
No, we're doing a Honda radiator, and we'll just use this header, chop it up, and put a turbo on this side.
Okay.
Put a turbo right there,
Sure.
and back to exhaust, and we'll do.
Well, we can use the BRZ radiator and push it in under here like we
Yes,
do
and
on Mike's
then-
car.
And then the process was intake manifold
Okay.
reverse, so you just go right there. And
They make them.
Yep.
Yep. Sweet. Won't have room for a dry sump though if you do that. But yeah, they make them. So, anyways, that was the results. Actually, let me show you guys the torque. I need to do the torque. So, see, that's gauge pressure. So we'll put power up again. Now again, this is on our dyno. It's a fucking dream crusher and a half. Injector duty cycle is 97% on 1700, so that should give you an idea. Which is, yeah, like 900 wheel on other dynos for sure. So here you go. And that's the torque. Torque was 590 foot-pounds at 5,300 there. 590 at 53. Some pretty good torque. This is such a good cam profile, but I do wonder if I could add a little more lift to one and make another cam profile for a little larger, a little higher end. I don't wonder if I can. I know I can. So this one definitely exceeded my expectations in the mid-range. It didn't quite do what I hoped it would do up top, but I won't know until I put this cam in heads that are big ports and a bigger turbo to know exactly if it's heads or cam. Overall, this thing spools so fucking fast. Considering what it is, and has such good road manners, I feel like the cams are a win for sure. And anyone who's looking for anything around this or less is not making a mistake choosing these cams. Now, the question is to see how Kendrick's car does. He's got a turbo about this size, but he's got heads that are ported quite a bit more, and a big intake manifold and all of that. So we'll get to see again how they perform on another setup, and if they meet expectations, freaking great. I'm not going to change them, but if they don't, then I'm going to go with a version. I'm going to have another profile grind, I think. It won't be as idle friendly and as spool friendly, I think, as these are, but you know, like anything, you always try and balance the setup. You choose your components for specific RPM ranges and that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's what she got. I bet she rips. It's gonna be good.